Hello and welcome to Web3 TV. I'm Lisa Amnegard, and today we're at the Future Sustainability Forum 2024 right here in Dubai. And joining me right now is Keiichi Aritomo, Executive Director from FinCity Tokyo. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me.
How's your day been so far?
Very exciting, and I feel lots of energy from this venue. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. There's so many people here today.
Yeah.
And so many attendees. It's been a great day so far.
Yes.
And you come here all the way from Tokyo. So how are you finding Dubai?
Well, I mean, we have been very fascinated by Dubai's recent development, right? Japan, as you may be aware, is one of the oldest countries, and actually our monarchy is the oldest.
Yeah.
Older than the one in the UK and Morocco. So we are old country, and then Japan has been kind of stagnant over the last 2 decades or so in terms of economic growth perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, and but when we think about Tokyo and Japan, we think about this future-forward tech country, and when it comes to sustainability, Japan has been very forward in what it's been doing. So in terms of what you've seen, what are the main challenges most companies face when it comes to taking that step to shaping a more green economy?
Yeah, so as you may be aware, Japan is one of the most environmentally conscious countries. And Japan is very advanced in engineering perspective. Yeah. We have a fastest bullet train and
80 seconds, right?
Yeah. And then train systems are so accurate, right? Average delay of the train only 18 seconds, as you said, right? So so we have a superior technology, but when it comes to innovation, we have been kind of stagnant as well over the last few decades or so. We have many STEM students. They are very smart intellectually, but they don't know how to make money out of their engineering or scientific knowledge as well. So that's something we are lacking in Japan. And then we like to have, investors, LP investors from this region to educate Japanese entrepreneurs to how to scale, how to monetize, etc.
So it's kind of a bilateral exchange.
Exactly.
And if you were to explain a little bit more about what FinCity is, what would you say?
Yeah, so I think the simplest way to explain is FinCity Tokyo is equivalent to DIFC. Only difference is we are 70% funded by Tokyo government, 70 to 80% funded by Tokyo government. The remainder are funded by private sector organizations, largely Japan-based major financial institutions. But basically, we promote and continuously upgrade Japan or Tokyo as a financial ecosystem. And then also disseminating what's going on in Japan to the world so that they understand how to deal with Japan. Because Japan is still one of the largest economies in the world, but are quite opaque and difficult to understand.
Yeah, no, and you've been working with many different sectors. We're here today talking about sustainability and the future of sustainability, but I'm also aware that you are attracting many Web3 companies and also exploring emerging technologies within FinCity. So what role does Web3 play in Japan or in FinCity in general?
Yeah, so we don't know much or enough about Web3, to be honest, because our innovations are oftentimes driven by social issues, right? So what kind of issues we need to address to make the society better? And then we have to employ or adapt technologies to achieve that, right? So with respect to Web3, only thing we have been observing lately is more like a trade finance or supply chain finance, because, for example, Toyota is the largest automotive company in Japan. Yeah. Their carbon emission for Toyota itself only represent about 1% of total emission of supply chain.
Yeah.
And which is scope 1. And then their energy consumption, scope 2, is only 1.5%. So altogether, we have about 2% of carbon emission from scope 1 and scope 3. So we have to understand scope 3, but understanding carbon emission for multi-layered of supply chains is very difficult. So probably Web3 or blockchain-enabled solution might be the answer. We don't know yet. But we have come across increasing number of fintech companies or startup companies to address this issue, how to measure and mitigate scope 3 issues. That's one thing.
Yeah. Do you think blockchain technology will play a bigger role when it comes to the industries that you just mentioned and the future of sustainability?
Yeah, so I guess the another aspect is cross-border remittance. We have not as many as the UAE, but we have increasing number of immigrants. And their challenge is to transfer money back to their home country to support their families, right? However, SWIFT-based remittance
Yeah, it's a
is
little bit.
quite expensive and it's US dollar oriented.
Yeah.
So we have to have much more like a smaller remittance
Efficient.
for immigrants working in Japan, and Japanese population is shrinking. So we have to attract more immigrants, and who can comfortably live and work in Japan as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So blockchain-based solution might be potentially very helpful to address this
And
issue.
you were one of the speakers here today. So can you tell me a little bit more about the key messages and discussions that you wanted to share?
So even though Japan is advanced from an engineering perspective, when it comes to green transformation, oftentimes we encourage people to adjust their lifestyle as opposed to focusing too much on hardware, infrastructure, and technology investment for decarbonization. So we have a concept of Ikigai. Ikigai is not necessarily well understood, but it's a well accepted concept in Japan. The research started from 1990s. We call it blue zone. They call it blue zone, the region where people live so long. And Japan is one of those 4 or 5 blue zones. Actually, Okinawa. And Ikigai concept started from Okinawa, which means basically you do what you're good at. Exactly, Lisa, you're doing what you're good at. And then second, what you appreciated.
Yeah.
Right? And then you can also get paid for. And then also what you enjoy. So those are the elements of Ikigai.
Yeah.
And then by having Ikigai, as opposed to focusing too much on making money only, you can make your life much more sustainable. The issue is life expectancy in Japan for the next generation is as long as 107 years.
Wow, it's a long
that's
time.
anticipated, right?
Yeah.
So we have a huge funding gap already.
Yeah.
As much as $150,000 for average people to peacefully complete their lives. They live long, but we have to upgrade our investment capability to pay for that longevity as well. So that's sustainable lifestyle is also good for cost saving.
Yeah.
Reducing the cost of living as well.
So do you think Ikigai, that's how I pronounce it?
Ikigai.
Do you think that is a concept that people should embrace more when it comes to future of sustainability?
Yes, exactly. Right. So that's something we can also contribute to this side of the world, because you guys have a huge, including this building.
Yeah, yeah.
Huge building infrastructure and quite advanced, right? And then try to make those infrastructure, energy efficient as well.
And when it comes to sustainability, you're living in Tokyo, which is a major city and a hub. Is there anything that you've witnessed or seen that you want to bring awareness to, what people should be thinking about now when it comes to sustainability?
Yeah, so we like to, basically make people understand that what's going on in Japan. There are lots of sustainability-oriented startups taking place, happening in Japan. And some of the technology is amazing. Plant-based lighting,
Yeah. Plant-based lighting.
protein,
Okay.
which accumulates the energy from the light,
Yeah.
and then when it gets dark, it can also light up as
Oh
well.
wow!
So
Wow.
you have a flower garden, right? But it's empty at night. So if you can use this kind of a lighting protein, which is trying to be commercialized or scale the production in Japan, for example, can be very useful for in order to make city more energy efficient, also charming and beautiful as
Of
well.
course. Yeah, of course.
So that's one of many examples, but they don't necessarily promote internationally.
No,
right?
no.
So people don't necessarily know what's going on in Japan, but we like to, showcase those innovations.
Yeah, no, that's
happening in Japan.
amazing. So a lot of innovations
Yes.
and a lot to do to improve our planet. So if somebody wants to find you, reach out and get to know more about FinCity, how do they do that best?
There's an email address, contact at fincity.tokyo.
Yeah.
So write to this email address once again, contact at fincity.tokyo.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much
Thank you
for
very
speaking
much
with me.
for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. We'll be back with more interviews, so make sure to stay tuned.